Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast with me, your host, Alex. In today's episode, we have a special guest that you saw very recently. However, we decided to run it back as we told you in part one. We are with Tiana today, who helps you get your marketing right, get your leads warm and toasty, and create content that converts your audience. However, we are multifaceted women. And in today's episode, we are getting the juice from Tiana on all things bodybuilding and the lifestyle necessary to compete. Please welcome Tiana. Thank
Hi.
you for coming
I'm,
back on.
I'm so excited to be back. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing really well. Um, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. We're on different time zones, as you can probably tell by our accents. So it's
Yeah.
my evening and Tiana's morning as we're recording this. So we're literally just starting and ending our days. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, in today's episode, we are talking all things bodybuilding and all things lifestyle and mindset to get you to a point of competing or the necessary things around competing. So Tiana, I would love to kind of start with your journey into bodybuilding and competing. Like, where did all of this begin for you?
Okay. So I did my first show in 2023. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. And my best friend used to be my Pilates instructor, and then she was my online fitness coach, and now she is my best friend. But at the time, she was my fitness coach, and she had competed in a show. She'd done one prep, and then a little while later, she wanted to do another one, like not too far beyond that first one. And I got to like watch the live stream, and I was really excited about it. It was so good. And she went pro, so she turned into a pro athlete on her first show with this federation, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. She looked amazing. Oh my god, like sent her all the well wishes, whatever. And I was like, I would love to do that one day, just randomly. I would love to do that one day. There was no extra thought about it. It was just, that would be really cool. It looks like a lot of fun. Like, it was the federation that she competed with. It was very like glitzy and glamorous, so not your traditional bodybuilding federation. And it just looked so beautiful. All the bikinis were so beautiful, the makeup, the hair, all the things. I was like, oh, it just looks like a lot of fun. Anyway, we like fast forward a little while, and she decided to close her fitness coaching business, and I was like, oh, I'm going to need another coach. So I went to her coach at the time, who yeah, there was a few of the girls using him, and I was like, oh, okay, well, if she trusts him, then like he must be all right. I'll move to him. So I moved to him, and I was sort of like, oh yeah, one day I want to compete, like whatever. Like, it was just like a off the bat sort of comment.
Yeah.
And then we were sort of training, and like I don't even know what the timeline was, but like we were training and like eating well and whatever, trying to build up calories to a point that was good, whatever. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he one day was just like, do you want to do the November show? And I was like, yeah, maybe. I'm not, let me talk to, like, well, he was my partner at the time, but now he's my husband. But I was like, let me talk to Jared. Let me see if like we can like financially afford it, blah, 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 all the things. And then I came back to him the next day, and I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, let's do it. So I had like 2 weeks notice to prepare for this prep. And that's sort
Oh
of
my
just how it came
goodness.
together.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay,
Yeah, it
so
was
like,
very like quick turnaround.
yeah, like 2 weeks is insane. I feel like I would need like a whole year of like mental mental
Yeah,
prep
well
for this, but like,
now that I know, in theory, that wasn't the best approach, to be completely
mhm,
honest. And his approach to prep wasn't the best approach either. But now knowing what I know, yeah, I definitely would have had more of a timeline to
mhm,
build properly pre-prep and then prep, obviously. But
mhm,
yeah, now I'm like, oh, I definitely needed more time than 2 weeks to be like, yep,
mhm.
I'm in that mindset. Like, I probably wasn't quite there.
Yeah, ready. Yeah. So how did that first show go? Like, what was the timeline from obviously you had that 2 weeks and until you were in your prep? What was that
Yeah.
timeline like?
So prep is basically the diet phase for anyone that doesn't know. And that is essentially, it can be anywhere from like 20 weeks to 30 weeks. It depends on like whether you're a natural athlete, whether you're doing one show, multiple shows, like what the timeline is from that perspective, um, like just kind of how long it takes your body to adapt to a diet phase, all that sort of thing. So my first prep was 20 weeks, which was very common for that federation. A lot of the girls just do 20 weeks. I don't know if that's like a real generic thing that the coaches
Hmm.
tend to do or if it's just normal, but I knew a lot of the girls at the time had 20 weeks. So I had 4 months of dieting basically from when I started to stage. And basically you get given protocols in a normal sense. So I'll explain some of what I did in that first prep. It's very different to my second one. But the first one was from the start, I did an hour a day of cardio, whatever choice that was, Stairmaster, the
Hmm.
bike, whatever it was. I didn't have a step goal, which I gave myself a step goal because I just needed to have a number to know that I was being consistent. And then it was just train every day until you feel like you need a break. So that was not the
Oh,
best in
wow.
terms of recovery. And then I was doing a lot of like saunas, ice baths, all of that sort of stuff because I was working at a gym at the time that had all of the recovery. So I was like, oh, I might as well utilize it for my body. Like, this is fantastic. So I had, yeah, 4 months of diet and food changed as we went along. And I was lean going into the first show, but I probably could have come in leaner, but I also needed more muscle, if that makes sense too.
Yeah.
So
No,
in terms of like,
absolutely.
I didn't like place or anything like that, but I had the best time on stage and I'd met all of these girls through Instagram, like throughout that prep phase and like they do workshops for the posing and stuff. So I'd met a lot of the girls doing those. So it was really nice to just be able to be backstage with everybody that I already kind of knew, which was cool.
Hmm. That does sound so cool. So
Mm.
then, like, how, if you're then going on stages, as you said, is that, sorry, I'm completely ignorant to the bodybuilding world. Is that
So
that
fun.
you have like a month of different competitions because 4 times a year there's competitions, or is that how it kind of works?
So it depends on who you compete with. So the federations, I guess think of the federations as like different businesses, right? So there's
Mhm.
lots of different federations that you can compete with. Some of them do multiple shows, some of them don't. So the one that I competed with at the time was WBFF, but they transitioned to what they're now known as FMG in Australia. And they tend to only do one show at a time. So they generally do one around like April. They do one in June or July, and then they do one towards the end of the year. And then now they have a few international shows as well. So you can't really do a back to back show
Right.
scenario. Whereas I competed with IFBB or NPC most recently, and I could do multiple shows, which was cool. So I
Hmm.
guess it just depends on who you choose to compete with and whether or not you want to do multiple shows. Like the first time it's probably not the greatest. Like if you've never done it and you don't know what to expect, you also don't know how your body adapts in that sort of scenario where you
Yeah.
have to peak back to back. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it just depends. So I only did one show that first show.
Yeah. That's insane. So you do all of that work and it's one show. Do you feel
Yeah.
like there's pressure in that?
Yes. Yes and no, I guess. I went into my first one with no expectations. I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool to get like a medal, but like who cares? I just wanted to do this thing and it's just happened so quickly. Um, but I think it also depends on why you're doing it, right? Like I know girls that are going in this current season because they're like, I want my pro card. Like they've competed before, they've taken a lot of time off to build more muscle. They're like, I'm going in for the kill, basically.
Hmm.
And I think that's not necessarily the reason why, but like there's obviously more pressure on that goal versus like I'm just doing this because I wanted to do it, and then like the second time
Hmm.
around I wanted to do it because I just enjoy the process, like the process of getting
Hmm.
to stage from a personal development perspective. I'm like, yep, that is why I do it. So I think there's
Yeah.
like for me there wasn't a lot of pressure on like, oh, I need to win or anything, but I think there definitely could be.
Hmm. That makes sense. So I want to ask you a couple things.
Yeah.
If in case I forget, I want to ask you about the community, like behind the scenes, the women you meet on Instagram. I want to ask you about um comparison between your first show and your next, second, third show. And then I want to get into like what your why around that. But maybe it makes sense to first ask about your your first competition versus your following ones, and then I'll
Yeah.
ask about the other things. So let's go for the first one. Like, what what were your key differences between the very first time you ever competed versus like your most recent?
So the biggest difference is I had a new coach. So
Hmm.
this second time, there was so much more structure in terms of what I needed to do every day, the timeline, how things changed as we got closer to show. So the first time, like I said, I had to do an hour of cardio for 20 weeks essentially. And then it
Okay.
got to the point where it was like, just move as much as you could. And when you're in a prep, like it's very hard to measure a phrase like that. And you
Hmm.
can't, like, if it's not consistent, it makes it hard to make changes, right? Which again, the approach from that first prep, there wasn't really changes coming from that side of things. Whereas my second prep, we started out, I was doing 20 minutes of cardio 3 times a week, I think it was. And then by the end of it, I'd gone up to 75 minutes 3 times a week and 60 minutes 4 times a week, which is a lot. But at the same time, we increased it over time. My
Hmm.
second prep was also much shorter, not because of my coach, but just because we came back from our honeymoon and we basically only had 17 weeks till the first show. So it was kind of a slog. Like it needed to be, we needed to like drop calories and increase movement a lot. But I did 2 shows with the second prep. The intention was to do 3, but I actually got sick in between the second and the third show. And I was like, you know
Oh.
what? My body is telling me to slow down. Like, I've probably done a little bit too much. And then I spoke to my coach and we had a whole conversation about that. And he was like, you know what? You've already brought your best package. Like, we'd be minutely better on this third show. So like let's actually just take the L and we'll just recover. And I was like, yep, cool. I feel really happy about that. The other big difference, I guess, is the federation that I competed with. So the first one was more glamorous, if you will. Like they when it was WBFF, it was like they considered everyone a fitness model, if that made sense. It wasn't like athletes versus
Yeah.
IFBB and PC is everyone is an athlete. There's not as much glitz and glamour to it. Um, so that, yeah, it just means that the bikinis looked different. I should have sent you some photos, but the bikinis look different.
That's
So
okay.
they call them couture bikinis with WBFF, and then I don't know what they call the other ones, just stage bikinis, I guess. So they just look dramatically different. What else was different? My food was different, but not really. So in my first prep, I could eat as much veg as I wanted to because my coach had this thing that it just doesn't count. The calories don't count, but I was eating like a kilo a day of vegetables because I just didn't want to be hungry. Like I
Yeah.
had this thing about I want to be full. Whereas this second time round, my coach was like, you need to weigh every gram. And I was like, what do you mean I only get 50 grams of vegetables with my lunch? What do you mean I need to have 100 grams of lettuce? Like, why am I weighing a lettuce? Like, so that was really different for me, but it was better because I didn't have like any digestion issues. I wasn't bloated. I was a lot more comfortable. Yeah, I was hungry, but like I was a lot more comfortable. So that was a unique experience. To weigh vegetables was so bizarre to me. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, they're probably the biggest differences. The stage experience was similar. Like it was a different layout, but it was similar. Posing was much easier the second time round, actually. The first federation was a lot of like waving arms and like not
Mm.
probably not spirit fingers. I shouldn't do that. Lots of like waving arms though, whereas the second federation is a lot more structured, which was so much easier for me. So I have a dance
Hmm.
background. Everyone was like, posing will be so easy for you. But I found it so awkward to be like doing all of these arm movements.
Mm.
So I like you couldn't tell on stage, like the dancer in me just like did the thing and switched it on, but I felt so awkward. And then the second show, I was like, wow, I think this is so much more me. It's so much more easy. I've got structure. I know what I need to do. I've got 4 poses. There's no random arms. So that I think that was probably a big difference too. There was a lot of differences actually now that I've thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it like when you're doing your poses, is it like a flow that you have to do? Or is it literally like position one, get into the position? Okay, they call out position two, you get into that position.
They do that. So they call them your comparisons or your quarter turns. What it depends on how they sort of do it. But when you're in a lineup and they're doing comparisons, it's basically with the most recent federation. We have 4 poses for my category. So my category was wellness. So we had a front pose, a side pose, a back pose, and another side pose. The bikini girls, I think, just have front and back, and then the figure girls are different. But they basically have you in a lineup and they're comparing you. So they're having everyone in their front pose, they're doing their comparison, the judges are looking at you, and then they tell you, okay, quarter turn to the left, you turn to the left, but you need to transition nicely into that, if that makes sense. Like they don't want you to just go, okay, like they
Yeah.
want that
Yeah.
transition that looks nice. With the first, like with WBFF, FMG, it was very much, there was a lot more flow in between transitions. So you could actually do any pose in your side comparison. So if one girl, I don't know, one girl had a stronger quad, she could put one leg over the other or something, or she could have it out, or you could have it like you didn't have to all do the same pose. So I guess from a comparison perspective, it's a little bit harder to see
Mm,
the differences, but there was a lot more flow with that, especially in between transitions.
that's cool.
Does that make sense?
No,
Such a
that
weird
absolutely
thing to.
makes sense. I'm kind of, this is so strange, but I'm literally picturing it in my head, like someone on the stage doing like that kind of transition. And I can see like the judges
Yeah,
and everything. You're on a full stage, the lights are on, blaring. Um, I'm such a visual person that I have to just imagine things
so
as
am I.
someone's telling it to me. But yeah, no, that's, I feel like me personally, having done zero in this world, other than just like regularly going to the gym,
Yeah.
the the mindset behind having to go on a stage, the lights might be in your face. You've got other girls that have trained for 20 weeks next to you, all with their own, like, my quads are stronger, my biceps are better, my back, like, my lats are better. Like, is that daunting? Or is it like welcoming, if you know what I mean?
I would probably say it's more daunting. My
Mm.
first show, like I remember I had a lot of comparison. Like I was comparing to other girls that I knew were bigger than I was or they looked better than I was. And then my coach was just like, oh, like you can't control how they show up on the day. Like, don't try not to worry about it, blah, 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 whatever. And then my best friend, Tess, at the same time, had like entered from fitness coaching to mindset coaching. And she ran a program called Shine on Stage. And I was like, oh, I want to do this. Like, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to be part of it. And she was like, no, you're not paying for it. Don't be silly. I'm just going to pop you in there with the girls. And basically, she took you through all of those little mindset pieces around comparison, like why you compare versus not. And that was so helpful for me to be like, actually,
Mm.
why am I doing this? Like, let's stay in my own lane. Let's not compare to others because that's not really going to get me any further. But it definitely is daunting. Like, I even think about, like, with the current federation, I'm definitely on the smaller side in terms of muscle mass. And I know that I need to grow if I wanted to get on stage again. But some of the girls are like jacked, like full on like muscle mummy vibes. And like that is daunting. Just, I knew one of the girls I competed with last year and I was like, oh, I have no chance going up against her. But I felt like because I knew her, it wasn't so daunting. Like we were friendly. But I'm like, for the girls that I don't know, I'm like, oh, I'm like that. I'm like, it's the thing. It's more of the like, I don't want to be out of place for me at least. I'm like, I don't want to look
Hmm.
like I don't belong.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably the most daunting part of it. But I guess
Yeah,
yeah, it comes back to like, why are you doing it? Are you and why are you being in that comparison state?
100%. And like, because we're already kind of there, what is it like behind stage? Is it you're all kind of in a room together? Are there separate areas that you're kind of getting ready in? What does like the behind the scenes and the women behind the scenes, at least in your category, like what's that vibe?
So it's sort of different again, depending on the federation. And I think that's also dependent on what venues they've got available to them. So with FMG, they had lots of rooms backstage, kind of like, I don't know if you were ever a dancer, but like a dance concert where you'd have your little dressing rooms. It was sort of that vibe, right?
Ah, that's
So
cute.
you had dressing rooms. You sort of pick your own. So like a lot of the amateurs were together, but we actually ended up in a room, me and some of the girls that I'd become friends with in that first show ended up in a room with some of the pros, which was actually really helpful because one of the funnily enough, one of the pros was so nervous. She was like shaking. I helped her put one of her outfits on. She had like wings and whatever. So I helped her get ready for that. And to see her be a pro and be so nervous, I was like, oh, that's actually a little bit validating by way
Mm,
of just because you're a pro doesn't make you immune to the nerves or any of that before you go on stage. But it was really nice too because then like some of the other pro girls were like, "Oh, just enjoy yourself." Like they gave us tips before we went out. Like it was really nice and everyone got to then share little treats after the show and all that sort of stuff. I also had my best friend with me that show, so that was really cool that we got to compete together even though she was a pro. So we were backstage together as well. It was lots of like taking photos and all that sort of stuff. The second, like with IFBB, it was still like that, but it was one big room. So like men and women were together, which again, like not an issue. It was just like a massive room with a bunch of fake tan and rice cakes to be like. But and then you move to like this side stage area where you kind of get ready and you pump up. So you pump up is like getting your muscles pumped up, I guess.
mhm.
And then even there, like some of the girls were like, oh, let's take photos, let's do this, let's do that. So like everyone was still really nice. I had a very big fear for the second show that I did because someone told me that the girls backstage were really bitchy. They were like, oh yeah, with IFBB, they're really bitchy. They're really like, because everyone's really serious about it's more a lot more serious federation, I guess. And I was like, oh, I don't know how that's going to go. And then all of the girls that were in my category were so nice. Like I talked to a handful of them still on Instagram today, which is really nice. So it's
That's
very,
so nice.
yeah, it's very like community vibes, which I'm sure, like, look, I'm sure there is people that are not the nicest and they are competitive and they want to stay in their own, but they kind of tend to stay to themselves, if that makes sense. But yeah, like I had one friend, she had girls try to get in her head and, oh, you look really small. Did you not carb up enough? Did you? And I was like, that is so horrible. But thankfully, I didn't have that. I had very nice women around me.
And I'm so grateful for you because that's crazy work. Imagine you're in a
When I
room
got
full of
told
women who have done that, like, and you've
yeah,
worked so long and so hard to be able to get on stage and get yourself there to compete. And then there's someone there waiting to tear you down. Like, that's, I do not
and I
like that
guess that's
behavior.
sort of the women that have competed before and they're kind of preying on an amateur that's never been on stage and doesn't know what to expect. They're trying to make her feel shit, but at the same time it's like you could make her feel shit. That does not mean that you all of a sudden win your pro card or you win the overall or whatever it is. Like, and it just kind of shows you that they're in it for the wrong reason. Like they're clearly just in it to
Mhm.
win. They're not in it for anything outside of that. And it's not, I don't know, I just, yeah, that's not my vibe. I don't like people like that.
Yeah. Not good vibes at all. We are not about tearing other women down on this
No,
podcast. So, no magic. No, I'm joking.
no. I wish I knew,
um,
honestly.
yeah, no, honestly, I'm kidding. But I really like. There's so many parts to this that I really want to dive in. Some of them are super, super superficial. Like, what is it
Love that.
like covering yourself head to toe in fake tan like that? Versus also like, what's it like competing with one of your best friends? Like, are you doing prep together? Are you training together? Like, how does that work? So, whichever one of those, superficial or like
All right,
slightly,
let's go
slightly deeper,
superficial.
go for either.
The tan is like fucked for lack of a better word. So my first show, I only had 2 coats of tan. I think they do your They tend to do, most federations will do your base coat 1 or 2 days out, and basically you sleep in it and then you wash it off the next day, and then you go and you get your next layers. With IFBB and NPC, it was 3 layers of tan, and it was
Wow.
wash off the first one, and then the second two that were like, we don't wash off. So the second day, which was the day before show, we got the second layer, and then the day of the show, I woke up, no shower, just had to like do my check-ins, whatever, go to the venue, and then we got the third layer on top. And I'm like, everyone is stinky and gross, and like backstage just smells like a mix of tan and BO, and it's actually horrid.
Yeah.
And then it takes so long to get the tan off. And then I paired that with, I did 2 weeks back to back. So I did one weekend and then the following weekend. So the ladies become really good friends with the tan ladies. They were like, don't wash it off. And I was like, don't wash it off. They're like, don't wash it off. Try and keep it looking really good. Like keep hydrated, all that sort of stuff. Because then you'll look better next week. You'll look darker. I was like, okay. But then the problem was after that second show, I had 6 layers of tan on that
Oh
needed
my
to be scrubbed off. And
gosh.
I literally looked like I had a disease. Like I had my, like in between my elbows, my armpits, and like
Mm.
my knees and stuff were white. And then the rest of me was tan. And it just, my coach was like, are you going to wash this off? I'm like, dude, I've been trying. It's not budging.
Just
Like I
scrubbing.
was having oil bath. I'll have to send you photos of that too. But I was having an oil bath. Literally, it wasn't coming off. I was scrubbing. My skin was so raw at the end of it. So that's not. It's fun until you need to get it off. Then it's not fun. And
That's
walking around the street with a
insane.
dark, dark, dark tan, people look at you like you've had a really bad spray tan. They're like, "What the fuck is wrong with her?" Like guys, I swear I'm competing. It's different.
You need like like a muscle shirt on and just walk around like this all day, like guns out. Like
I feel like
this is
that just
for a
makes
reason,
them
people.
swole. It's so funny. Like even in the Gold Coast, where it's probably more common up there for people like competing, people still look at you funny. Like, what the hell is she doing? Why does she look like that?
Yeah. I can only imagine because it's there's definitely competitions and things in the UK, and I know people that compete. My friend's partner competes, and he is a black man, so I assume he
Yeah,
does still tan and things because I'm assuming that that's what they want. However, like it's not nearly as noticeable on him as it probably would be on
yeah,
you on your fairer skin.
it's
So like
very true.
it's it's just not something we would see so much here. And then I see
Yeah,
people competing in Australia. I'm like, whoa, like what does like how do they do the tan and things like that? Because it is just so like deep and like
it's literally,
crazy.
imagine like, do you know like a portable tan tent? I don't know if that's an Aussie
Yeah.
thing or not, but yeah,
Yeah.
like a portable tan tent. Like you literally step into it, you're butt naked, and this lady is spraying this tan on you. And like they are so quick too. Like they don't care either. They're like, we just want to do our job. Some of the men, like it was so funny. Me and my husband competed together the most recent time, and he was like, because they have the option of like wearing a sock essentially, but they can't, because your bikinis and your trunks are so fine. Like you can't wear underwear to be spray tanned. So
Mhm.
like some of the men are coming in and like they've got this sock down there, and the ladies are like, dude, I don't care, like just come on, fucking hurry up, like don't stop. I've seen it. They're like, I've seen a million penises, like it's so fun.
Yeah.
They're like, I just need to spray you and you need to get out so I can do the next person. But it's
Yeah.
literally just your butt naked in this thing. And they're like, put your arms up, put your arms down, turn to the side. And it's cold. And it's honestly the weirdest thing.
This is so TMI, and I'm so sorry to have to ask. Do you literally
So
have to just like stand there and air dry?
yep, pretty much. So it like
Oh my
dries
goodness.
relatively quick. Like it's like,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of like airbrush makeup, I guess. So it's like out of like a
Right.
gun. They spray it
Okay.
on, and you dry relatively quickly, but then they're like, the girls are good. They'll like pat you down if there's any like drips or whatever, obviously to keep it
Mhm.
even, but then also so you can get dressed pretty
Mhm.
quickly. But yeah,
immediately.
basically you
Okay.
just stand there for a couple. They're like, just stand there for a couple of minutes, and it's like, okay, just, like no one can see you, like it's all covered or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, I'm
Do
so
you know
sorry. That was
what?
such a superficial question, but I was fascinated. I've wondered about this for years, knowing people compete, and I was like, I've got to ask Tiana.
Yeah, no, that's so fun. Do you know what? Someone was like to me, this is also TMI. One of my friends was like, hold on, do they like spray in between your like flaps? And I was like, yeah, they fucking kind of have to. Like, the best is when like you face the back, and she's like, okay, now do like an RDL, like hinge forward, and I'm like, she's spraying my butt crack. Like, it's honestly, and like I was trying to explain this to my husband because he'd never competed before. So I was like, this is what they got, like this is, and he's like, no. And I'm like, they have to, otherwise you're going to have white patches.
And is that like something
So
that gets deducted if like your tan's not good?
I don't think I don't think it gets deducted, but technically it goes against you because if you're too light compared to the others on stage, you're not going to look as good. Like the stage lights wash you out. So if you look pale,
I
you don't look
see.
so defined. Whereas if you've got the dark, like dark is always better, I guess, because you
I
can see the
see.
muscle a little bit better. Yeah. But I know like for a
That
lot
makes
of the
sense.
men, because they're like flexing and they're like working so hard, like heaps of them get sweaty. So like the girls, again, they're all side stage. Most of the federations have the girls side stage to like pat them down and touch up the tan so it doesn't
Mm,
look shocking.
hmm. Fascinating.
It's
I'm
so,
asking
isn't
the
it?
big questions here.
I guess this, you know what? I feel like if I think about my friends, like these are the questions that people are like,
Yeah.
wait, do you have to do that? I'm like, yeah, you do. I like Jared, even I was like, dude, you need to be naked. He was like, no. I'm like, you do. Like, what?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
which makes so much sense now that I think about it. But previous to
Yeah.
this, I just assumed you were in your bikini getting sprayed on the day, not that you had like days of doing it and then potentially like having to wear it for a week if you're like competing back to back. I didn't
Trying
even
to
think
get
about that.
trying to get into your stage bikini when you've been sprayed on show day is the worst. Like trying not to get tan on, like it's crystallized, but like still try not to get tan on the front. It's just, yeah, cooked. I just walk around in an oversized t-shirt until I needed to get ready because I was like, I don't want to risk
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah. Okay, going back a little bit before my TMI tan question that was so superficial, it's insane. Training and prepping with your best friend, like what was kind
Oh
of
yeah.
how did that come about? Was it that I think you said that she was a pro. So was it that you just ended up being on the same competition times? Like how did that come about?
So normally pros with most federations, pros and amateurs don't compete together. Like you won't ever be on the stage at the same time, right? Like they're completely different categories. But with FMG, the way that they did it, they actually have what they call a pro am or pro amateur show where anyone can compete in that show. You don't just have to be a pro or you don't just have to be an amateur. So my best friend had moved to the Gold Coast earlier in that year, and I was like, how fucking rude. That's fine, whatever. And it'd come about like prepping together, and we were like, oh, like that's kind of that would be cool. Be cool if we could train together. So we didn't get to train together or anything. When I went up there, like the week before the show, because the show was in the Gold Coast, we trained together and we did all that sort of stuff, which was cool. Um, but yeah, we didn't get to train together. It was good though for like if we needed to have a conversation, we were both in the same sort of depths
Mhm.
of prep or whatever. So it was kind of good from that perspective of being like, oh, hey, like this happened to me today. Or, oh, hey, like how would you go about this?
Mhm.
Or like that was really cool. And then sharing the stage together. So we actually got to they did like a walkout in between shows. So the start of the nighttime show, they do like a gala walk. Again, it's that like fitness glamour thing, and we did this gala walk. We actually got to be on stage together and we got a photo together. So one of the photographers knew both of us and she took a photo of us walking together. And we were like, oh, that's so crazy that we
Oh,
actually got to be on stage together, even though it wasn't from a like in our bikinis competing standpoint, but it was still together, which was really cool. And it was nice that we got the photo. So that's sort of how, like, it wasn't necessarily planned or anything. Like, I think she was already planned for that show because she'd done a show in August that year, and she did a show. She did like 3 shows that year. She did a fair few. She was in prep for a long time that year. And then I was like, oh, because we had the same coach at the time. I was like, he wants me to compete too. And she was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Like, yeah, that's so cool. Like, like, we'll just be able to like share experiences, which was cool.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. I feel like that's not a super normal thing unless your friendship group and things are in the same community. So that's like a quite a niche thing to be able to
It,
experience together. And I
it
bet
is.
it was so nice to have that support of someone else is pretty much at the exact same place as you in the cycle towards that one show. So that must have been so
100.
nice.
Yeah, and it was nice to be backstage with her. Like, we just got to take all these fun photos. We got to like take our little video of our first bite of a cookie or a brownie or whatever. I think I can't remember, her fiance got us like a caramel slice. He got us something. He saw them at a bakery and was like, "Should I get these?" And she was like, "Yes." And he got them for us, which was really sweet. And like, we had the little like video of us taking the bite together, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. We
That's
got to go out to dinner
yeah,
after, that sort of stuff.
I love that. So kind of going into that area, not necessarily just with food and things, but like the mindset and the why behind it all. Where where do you kind of come down on it? Whether it was in your journey into it, as you are now prepping, I think probably for your next show, I would assume, or potentially looking to do a next show, like how do you sit in your why on competing and bodybuilding?
This is going to sound really bizarre. I feel like I don't have a very strong why. I don't know why other people do it, but for me,
Mm-hmm.
I like the process. I like the diet phase, right? I could just do a diet. It doesn't really, but I just like that process of like, how far can I push my body? How far can I push my brain? But for me, that's not like a really strong why. So often in the industry, you get people that are like, oh, on the bad days, you just think back to your why and that keeps you going. For me, that why does not keep me going. Like, if it was bad enough, I'd be like, see you later. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I obviously don't have that mindset. I have the mindset of like, keep going, like, we're stronger than this kind of thing. But yeah, so I think it depends on what your actual why is. Like I said, I don't know why some of the other girls compete or like what the goal is behind it, but a lot of them I know that the driving factor for like pushing through the hard is whatever that reason is.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it's just like I just want to see how much I can do. How far can I push my
Yeah.
capacity to like do more and hold more? And like my first prep, I was building my business. I'd like just sort of started it. So I was working in a gym, building the business on the side, trying to juggle clients, trying to juggle all of that. And then obviously all of the prep things. Whereas this second time round, I would say I was much more established in business. I wasn't working like part time or anything, just full time business. And actually, one of the compliments that I got from a client was at about 4 weeks out, I messaged all of my clients to say, hey, or maybe it was like 3 weeks. I was like, hey, just so you know, like I'll be competing through April. These are my show dates. I'm planning to have your content done prior to. I might need to shuffle a couple of calls. And I was like basically organizing everything in advance so that then I could essentially take off 4 weeks. So I didn't have to do all this client stuff. And a client turned around and go, I didn't even know that you were competing. Like, firstly, how do you not know? It's all over Instagram. But secondly, I was like, that's a really big compliment to know that nothing has changed throughout my whole prep from a client standpoint. Like, and I was like, oh, that's a really nice feedback piece to have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like I derailed from the question, but
Oh no, not at all. It's completely valuable because that is such a strength to be able to push your body, push your mind, keep your business running so smoothly that no one notices that you're going through a massive period of change for both your body and your mind and your life. Like you're having to be so disciplined and structured to get your goal, both with competing and bodybuilding and with your clients and your business. Like That is a lot
Yeah.
to juggle for anyone, and for you to be able to do it so well that people don't notice.
When she said that, I
Yeah,
was
like you
like,
said,
this
it's a
is crazy.
compliment.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's the thing though, right? And that comes down to like how far can I push myself? It's like, well, can I juggle all these things? Like, yeah, okay, cool. And that's not to like I think about it now and I'm like, I don't know about whether or not if the business grows more, like whether or not I'd still be able to do that. But I guess it's just like a try and see.
Yeah,
Like I probably will. Let's be real.
yeah. And like within the process, because like what you've just said is that you love the process of it, you love pushing that. What are your main takeaways from the process of deciding to do this competition? Okay, we start prep on this week. We then have to do the cardio increase and decrease on like the deficit or like whatever that looks like. What are your takeaways? What is the thing that keeps you coming back? Because obviously you've done it a few times now. There's clearly something, a little bug that's got you. Like what do
I
you
feel
keep coming
like
back for?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's just like the biggest drive of one of the biggest drivers. Business is probably the same for personal development and personal growth because like
Mhm.
you have to really like for me, I'm not the best at time management. I will be the first to say that like I struggle with prioritizing. Like I don't know if that's just my brain to be fair, but like that's I like I can do it and I can get everything done, but it's like I probably could do it better. But in prep, it's like, okay, well, if I need to do an hour of cardio, an hour training, 10,000 steps, and all my work, I've just added 3 hours to my plate. Like, I remember my first prep, one of my friends was like, oh, I was doing some research into it, and they reckon that prep's like having a part time job. And I was like, actually, yeah, you're not wrong. Because then we added up all the hours. And I'm like, well, it's like, I don't know, 3 hours a day, 21 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's a part-time job. And she was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. So I guess it's like that for me like pushed me to be like, all right, well, obviously I need to be on top of my shit and have good time management and have good structure and organize things and then like automate things in my business that I could automate things. So it kind of made me more efficient in a way. And like I don't know, it just you have to be better every time. You have to be better, and obviously every prep is going to be different dependent on what you have going on in your life. So like first prep being that I was working part-time and building a business, probably a lot easier to manage everything than this time where it's like, okay, I need to get all of that done and still be able to keep everything going with full-time business,
Hmm.
keep the brain capacity, obviously try and remember like
Hmm.
what my clients have told me and write notes and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it's just the like pursuit to be better
Yeah.
that I keep going back for. And also, I don't know, I just like the stage. There's something fun about the stage.
Does it feel like a performance?
Yeah, for sure. You have a routine as
Mm.
well. So you have those comparisons, and then you have a routine where you just get to come out on stage and do your routine that you've put together and showcase, I guess, the hard work.
I love that. Maybe I need to bodybuild. Maybe I need to try a competition.
I'm a very big advocate. I probably shouldn't be as big an
Yeah.
advocate as I am because people are like, oh, it's like not this. I was like, look, it's got its downfalls for sure, but like, it's so much fun.
Hmm. Yeah. So like when you're in your competition phase or even like in your downtime, what does a good day look like in either or versus like a bad day in terms of your brain, your mindset, and keeping yourself on track?
Okay, I'll use my second prep as an example. Both preps were relatively, I'm gonna say straightforward. I'm not gonna say easy because easy might ruffle feathers. But like, I'm very much of the belief that like your mindset is the what determines whether or not your prep is easy or hard, right? Like choose your hard, right? I just choose to have bigger problems. I think I said that in the last episode. So it's like I made the choice to do this sport. I'm not going to be a victim to whatever the circumstances are. Like my coach, when he was like, you need to do 75 minutes of cardio a day for 3 days of the week, I was like, oh, fuck, like that's a lot. And then I sort of was like, okay, well, I don't have a choice. Do I want to look good on stage? Do I not? Had a conversation about whether I could split that up. And I just like, he said, yep, we can split it in two. That's fine. And I went about my day. So I think, I don't know, good day and bad day is going to be dependent on the person. For me, like my prep was really good. My food got low, but I think I am just able to manage that well. Like, yeah, cool, I was hungry, but like it is what it is. And I knew what I was in for it. I'd done it before, so it was kind of okay. But in between shows, so we did Sydney and we did Gold Coast. And from Sydney to the Gold Coast, we dropped my calories like another couple hundred. And I don't think I had cardio in between there, but like the food got dropped and I dropped like somewhere, but I think it was like a kilo and a half or 2 kilos in a week. So my body
Mm.
was like, what the fuck is going on? And I felt horrid. So like I was still working a little bit in that week. And I just had really bad brain fog. I was so tired. I had to get all my training and stuff done in the morning so I could just get it out of the way and know that I could rest in the afternoon if I needed to. And like I just felt like I was a walking zombie. And I remember messaging my coach on the Tuesday night. It'd been like 2 days or 3 days. And I messaged him and I was like, I actually don't think I can do this. Like, I'm struggling. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, food noise is really high. I want to eat things, like not even eat like sweets, just like eat things that I are on my plan, just more of them. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't, but I want to. And I was like, and I can't remember things. My brain is foggy. Like I'm struggling. And he was like, I'm gonna call you in 20 minutes. And I was like, okay. I'm like sitting there by the phone.
Yeah.
And he was like, he called me and he was like, this is what you should have felt like for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And he goes, and I don't know why you didn't. He goes, but this is the normal part of prep. This is what people feel like. And I was like, oh, oh, okay, cool. Like when you put it into perspective like that, maybe I could do another 4 days. Like maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
So like that was the hardest part for me. And like I think too, trying to like get on calls with clients and have all this energy when I really didn't have this
Mm-hmm.
energy was like, and they were all understanding, like they knew what I was going through. But that was hard versus like prior to that, I felt fine. Like I had low calories and I was like doing my cardio, but I still had a skip in my step. And I was like, yep, cool. I had a lot of focus issues, but like that didn't really bother me. It wasn't like I wouldn't consider that a bad day. It was just like, oh, fuck, I really can't concentrate on the screen. And a client of
Mm-hmm.
mine who is also a fitness coach that competes, she was like, oh, what I do is do some work. When you feel like you can't focus, go and train, walk, do something different, completely different, and then come back and then try and sit down and do it again. She's like, it just takes your brain out of that for a moment and brings it back. And that was something that kind of helped. And then I also definitely did the nicotine thing where people have the nicotine. I don't know if they do it in the UK, but the nicotine mints or whatever to focus. I was like, I need something. But yeah, I think good day versus bad day was just like everything felt normal to me on a good day, and then the bad days, they were the bad days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's so incredible that you were able to call for support on that. Like, I don't know if anyone does compete without having a coach. I don't know if having a coach is normal or not, but I think it would be quite a scary or like really uncomfortable thing to be experiencing that in a prep. You're down to your last days before you're peaking and things, and then you don't have someone to call on and say, I don't feel good or I don't feel optimal. What do I like? I'm
Well,
panicking a little bit.
some people do self coach. To be completely honest, the only people I've seen self coach are generally men. But I almost think, in the nicest way possible, that men are a little bit wimpier than women. I love my husband, but he from like 6 weeks out, 6 weeks out, I think it was, he had a lot of gut issues. He'd never prepped before, didn't know what to expect, but he had a lot of gut issues. They had to change his food around and stuff. But he was the biggest whinger in the world. And I was like, I just don't understand what your problem is. But also there was an he'd never done it before, but like had he been in a situation where he was self-coached, I reckon he would have pulled himself out and just been like, nah, I'm not doing this, whatever. Whereas because he had Cade, we had the same coach, so he had Cade there to be like, no, this is normal. This is what people experience. Like, yep, it's all part of it. Like, it's either bad enough that you don't want to push through, or it's okay that you can push through. We just adjust your food and do whatever. But yeah, I've seen
Mm-hmm.
like a few men self coach, and I feel like from that perspective, it would be hard. Like you to be able to try and talk yourself in or out of something in that sort of state where you do have low calories and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, it's so easy to talk yourself out of doing it.
Yeah.
So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, having him there to be like, I'm just gonna call you. And there was in the last few weeks, there was a few times where he's like, I'm just gonna call you. I'm like, okay. It was so weird. I've like never like I voice note him and stuff, but like I'd never spoken to him on the phone. I'm like, this is so weird to have like a phone conversation, and he was just like run me through whatever he needed to run me through, and yeah, it was good. It was really good to be able to have that in case I needed it. I think
Mm-hmm.
too, because I never complained through the whole prep. He was like, "Oh, okay, this must be bad." If she's like, "I'm done,"
Yeah.
and she's gone 17 weeks or whatever it was, 18 weeks, and she's been like, "Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine." To that, he was like, "Oh shit, okay." Whereas when Jared would be like, "This is fucked," blah blah blah, like I'm struggling with this, Kate would be like, "Okay, but you've complained for the last 2 weeks, so like, are we like, what are we doing here? Are we crying wolf? Are we fine? Are we not?" Like, but again, like I think that honestly just comes back to that was his first experience and he didn't know what to expect.
Yeah. I can only imagine how daunting it would be. Like, I keep trying to like visualize myself in this and how I think I would make decisions, and I would definitely veer on the wimpy side. Like,
Yeah, a
I would
100%.
absolutely be a wimp about it.
Like when Jared started getting the gut issues, I was like, you know what? That would be enough to throw me. Like anything with the stomach and stomach issues, I'd be like, nah, see you later. So like for him to push through that, I was like, good on you because yes, it's hard and
Mhm.
yes, you complained a lot about it, but like you easily could have been like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. And there is so much to say about like this thing that you keep mentioning as well of this is my choice to be here. I also get to pull myself out if it's not going to plan. But
Yeah,
at the same time, I get to choose my heart and I get to choose to be the person who is going to show up and commit to something that they've said they will. And although it's hard, although in the depths of it, you're hungry and like those things are sort of mounting up, the brain fog and things, it really would, in my mind, take a lot to continue onto the stage. So like knowing that now on show day, and you know you're going to have to go up and you're getting on the stage and stuff. I know you said that it was daunting about that, but like, can you focus? Can you like get yourself in that mental state? Is it like you peak with adrenaline?
I feel like, yeah, I feel like the adrenaline kicks in on show day, and then it's just a whirlwind. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like I think I was focused. I didn't feel nervous for my second show. I felt nervous for the second time competing, right? I felt nervous for the first show, but not really. It wasn't until I got side stage that I was like, "Oh fuck, like we're going out there. This is a little bit like I don't know how I
Mm.
feel about this." And because all the girls were so nice, I was like, "Oh, I'm fine." And like I made friends with one of the girls in Melbourne, and I still talk to her, which she's so good, but she was such a vibe and like high energy that it was just like, "Oh, we're all fucking good. Like we're great." And then one of the other girls I made friends with, she had competed a couple of times and she was super, super nervous. And I was like, "But you've competed before." And she's like, "Yeah, the nerves are just there." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, I think I'm okay." And then I did the second week and I got to be the high vibe girls for the other one. Because I went in with like, I knew that I wasn't going to place nothing the second week. I knew that there was girls that looked way better than I did. So I was just there for the fun. And one of the girls was like, "I'm so nervous." I was like, "No, honestly, it's so fun." I was like, "I did this last week and it was so good." And like, so I think it probably depends on where your head's at, like, and depends probably how much pressure you're putting on yourself to do well. But if you're going in with no expectations and it's just like, I need to beat the last time I stepped on stage, I just need to be better, then
Mm.
I don't think that. the nerves play into it too much. And I feel like you can definitely focus on adrenaline kicks in, but you can definitely focus
Yeah.
on like what you need to do. I remember like the first show in Sydney, I come off stage and I was like, I don't remember a single thing. Did my routine look good? I got no idea. I was like, I fucked up my routine. I started the wrong way. And the thing was, everyone was like, oh, you had no idea. We couldn't tell. And I was like, great, good. That means my coach taught me well. And then the second show, I had more, like, I was more present in there, and I remembered hearing people yell out my name and stuff. And that was really, really nice. I don't know, I feel
That's
like show day was easier to kind of focus.
mm,
It's just like, oh, get my makeup done, do this, do that. It's like the cruisiest part of prep, really. It's just my coach was backstage and he was like, eat half of this banana. I forgot the scales, right? You got to weigh everything. I forgot the scales. My husband forgot the scales, messaged me, and then I also forgot the scales. And our coach was like, you guys are fucking idiots. And I was like, so prep brain, what, like, sorry. And then so we borrowed scales from a guy sitting next to us, which was really lovely. But we just did it for the main things. And then he would be like, eat half of this banana, come back to me in 20 minutes. I'm like, okay. And then he'd be like, eat this rice cake with honey. And he'd like do it for me, give it to me. And I just have to lay there for a while. I'm like, this is cruisy. Like, how can anyone be stressed on show day when you're not doing anything?
yeah.
I don't know. I think my experience is very different to probably a lot of others. But I guess I think it just comes down to the mindset I have around it.
Yeah. And it seems hella solid as someone looking in from the outside. And like post show, like post prep, post show, you've eaten your caramel slice or whatever it is. Like, do you have to then like I don't know how to phrase this, but like deload back into a regular diet? Like, is there a
Yeah.
come
So
down period?
there's all different approaches to how you do it, but essentially you the same way that you diet down, you reverse out. So most people
Okay.
will reverse out, but depending on like health markers and things, some people go into what they call a recovery diet, where we just bring calories up a substantial amount to try and get health back quickly. For me, we kind of did a bit of both. I don't think it was necessarily called a recovery diet, but we did bump calories up higher than we should have because I was sick. So he was like, we need to try and get some like nutrients in. But he also knew that I was going to eat what I wanted to eat as well. Um, my first prep, my reverse was shocking. Like, I'm talking, I ate 12 cookies in the space of a week post show. Like, that's a lot for a small human to eat. Um, and I didn't really get the support from my coach other than just don't eat the cookies. Just stop eating cookies. Just don't buy them. And I'm like, that actually doesn't help me at all whatsoever.
Mm,
That was like not helpful. So my reverse out was like not, it was less than ideal. Like, I didn't end up in a very optimal state. My health was fine, but like my body didn't look great. And sort of, I guess, when you do finish a show, you want to try and keep your like physique looking good, I guess, so that you can build muscle from a better place, if that makes sense. So then with
yeah.
my second one with Cade, he was very like hard ass on me because I had told him about my previous prep with my last coach. And I was like, I don't want to do the same thing. I want to come out of it. I want to stay leaner for longer so we can actually build muscle and take things a bit slower and, do things properly and not fuck it up like the last time. And so we were in Melbourne and we had, I think, 4 days there. And he was like, look, please try and eat to the plan that I've given you. If you're going to eat off plan, keep it to like one meal a day rather than eat the whole day shit. He was like, just eat one off meal and try and keep the rest. He's like, we do need like nutrients and whatever. So we didn't go completely rogue, but there's a lot of bakeries in Melbourne with lots of yummy pastries. So we kind of bakery hopped a little bit. That was our sort of thing with the sweet treats. And then when we got home, it was much easier for Jared and I to be like, okay, let's go do the groceries. Let's only buy what we need.
Yeah.
And then it's easier to kind of stay on plan. There was a few like, oh, we bought this or we bought that, or we wanted to get takeaway. So like it wasn't the strictest of things, but like Cade was really good at explaining what happens if you don't do things properly. Like, he was explaining to us that if you put 5 kilos on, 5 kilos, it's not actually 5 kilos, right? A lot of it's water weight. But when you consider your body weight percentage and how much it increases, like, it's a substantial amount. And he's like, your organs don't know the difference between fat and water weight. They just know, oh shit, we've put on 5 kilos, and they're working in overdrive. So it was very much like
Mm,
Kim giving us that education around what actually happens to the body when you do go overboard post show was enough to be like, oh, I don't want that to happen. I don't want my kidneys and my liver to suffer. I want to keep things normal. So, like, look, don't get me wrong, I still probably increase my weight quicker than I should. Better than the first time round, though, because I definitely had better support from Cade, and the knowledge of, like, this is why we shouldn't do it. But he was definitely better in terms of being like, firstly, don't eat the
mm,
fucking cookies, and secondly, this is why we
mm.
shouldn't eat the cookies. But
Yeah. The
it's a
knowledge
slow, I
behind
guess,
it.
a slow
Yeah.
process. And you feel like you feel like you're like, fuck, I've done all of this work. It's been 20 something weeks now. I'm ready to just be normal. But like, you genuinely, you can't just be normal because your body
Mm,
can't take it. So it's like, it does feel like a really slow process to then come out of it for another 8 weeks or so.
yeah. Yeah. I love this. It's a whole new world.
It's
Following
so, like,
that.
even our family was like, this is so different for us. What my mom and dad knew, but like Jared's parents were like, this
Mm,
is a whole like world.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I'd love to know, like, this is my top tip. Like, if you are actively competing, if you're thinking this might be something you're interested in, if you just want, like, to be in this state of mind of, I'm going to do hard things, push myself, challenge myself, and have that kind of choose hard problems mindset, what would, like, your top tip be in this sphere?
I think, okay, I've got a couple. My top tip, if someone wants to bodybuild, is make sure you have a good coach. Because my first experience was less than, and I'm very grateful that I have Cade now and the coach that I have now. Because if I don't know where I would be if I didn't have him, like, in terms of like some of the protocols that I was given and stuff. So my first thing is, like, definitely do your due diligence and make sure that you have a coach that doesn't just get results. Like, they actually understand the process and they map things out properly and they explain things to you. But then they're also going to be able to tell you whether or not you have the right mindset for a prep too. Like, a lot of coaches, if they're good at what they do, will be able to say, like, yep, your relationship with food is good. Yep, your mindset's good. Yep, you can tick all the boxes. Yeah, you'd be fine to do a prep. Or like, let's do a
Mhm,
deficit phase, see if you're good, and then kind of go from there. From the
mhm,
mindset side of things, I honestly think it's just a choice to have that mindset of like, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm choosing to do this. And like, reminding yourself of that. I think sometimes, like, people obviously have hard days in prep. I think it's about not being a victim is the first thing, but reminding yourself that, like, I chose to do this. And it's not about who works the hardest. That's the thing with this sport, right? Everyone has this thing of like, I need to suffer and grind, and that's what prep is about. It's like, actually, no, you can go out with your friends and just not eat, have a Pepsi Max or a Coke Zero, and like enjoy an evening. You don't have to like be a hermit. You don't have to suffer. But the judges don't know how much you suffer. It's not how much can I suffer, and that's the winner. It's like, what do you look like on the day? So why would you not try and enjoy the process and have a nice mindset towards it?
that's huge. I feel like that can literally be taken to anything, whether
Yeah.
it's your career or your business or the way you train in the gym in your regular 3, 4, 5 day a
Mm.
week program. Like, so many different things that you can apply that same mindset to of, okay, you are choosing this. Whether all of the choice is absolutely yours, or it's something you have to do in order to get something
Yeah.
else, like, this is the current path you are on and have to some extent chosen, or if not completely chosen. Me with a business, someone else with
Yeah.
this career path, another person with choosing to have children. Like, if you're going through the hard right now, you do have to remind yourself of, like, this was my choice, whether it's amazingly pretty or I'm really struggling and suffering right now, my experience of this is going to be dependent on what's going on in my brain, and the
100%.
inputs that you're putting in massively affect whether you're going to have a good time from here on out or whether you're going to continue to suffer.
100%. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. People have this preconceived idea in this industry that like you need to suffer through a prep, but like I didn't. I enjoyed my prep. I had like networking events with business. I went out to dinners with girlfriends. I just obviously just didn't eat, or I took my own food, or I just drank a Pepsi Max. And it's like yeah, cool. You can't eat, and that might be a little bit shit, but it's like you're doing it for a reason. You chose to do this for a reason. It's like you can eat that in 3 months' time. You'll be fine. So it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
putting everything back into perspective and reminding yourself like why you're doing it, I guess. So coming back to that why and like that you chose to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
like you can't really be a victim to your circumstances when you make that choice.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a powerful reframe. I love that.
Mm.
So cool. Is there anything you feel like we've missed, like anything we haven't covered when it comes to competing and bodybuilding? Because you're kind of the expert in this space.
I am so far from an expert. I feel like the only thing that I would say that I was just thinking about before is like if you did want to compete and like if anyone wanted to compete, just to make sure that you do have the foundations. Because I think a lot of the time people look at it and they're like, oh my God, the glitz, the stage, it's so fun, the bikinis, they're beautiful, everyone looks so
Mm,
stunning. And like, yeah, they do. But it's like if you don't have your training, your nutrition, like you're not ticking the boxes there, there's no point getting on stage. And also having a good foundation in terms of like what category do I want to compete in? Who do I want to compete with? Do I actually fit the build of that criteria? If I don't, okay, maybe I need to build some muscle and like go from there. Because I think sometimes people just think, oh, I just need to get lean. It's like, no, you actually have to
mm,
fit a criteria, whether that's like structural or not, like muscle mass, whatever it is. So I think, yeah, not just doing it because it looks like fun. Like if you're going to do it, you want to do it properly and be competitive.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I've loved this episode. I think we've covered so many like different things from literally like the tan and the logistics of getting a tan through to like, no, you actually do have to choose your hard and choose to not be a victim of your own circumstances and take your power and your own initiative to get the thing that you are striving towards. Like we've covered so much in this episode. I feel like this is not only a deep dive into bodybuilding and competing, but also like the mindset behind it all, which is exactly what I kind of wanted out of this episode. And we've really hit the nail on the head there. So if you've got nothing else to add, I am so happy to wrap this episode up here. I feel like, yeah, there's just so many cool things that we've covered there. But I've really enjoyed this. I hope you have as well, Tiana, and I hope you listening have enjoyed this episode. Um, yeah, let's wrap it up here. This has been the Alex Young Thoughts podcast. I have been so lucky to have Tiana on this episode, and I hope you have had the best time listening to all of the juicy details behind bodybuilding, prep, coming out of prep, all of the good stuff. So I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.